Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's Mike here at Game From Scratch, and today we are checking out PixaFlux. Now, what is PixaFlux? Well, that's really hard to describe, to be honest. It's an image manipulation and image creation tool that uses a node-based workflow. So you can use this guy kind of like you would use GIMP or Photoshop for doing like image touch-up, changes, conversions, and so on. But you can also use this to create PBR-based workflow textures completely from scratch, procedurally. There is a ton of power in this guy. It uses, again, a graph of nodes to basically create or modify images. So that's the gist of it. It's available over here at PixaFlux.com. As I mentioned earlier, it is completely free. Unfortunately, it does seem to be for Windows only. So if you're on another platform, you're probably going to have to run it through something like Wine. Hopefully it does run there. But as you can see, it's available here, and I'm going to now go over and actually showcase it in action. Now, I got to really preface this video with a warning. I struggled with this program. It's so complicated and complex that I just haven't put in the time to master it. But the nice thing is there is a ton of resources that I will show you in a second. So if what you see here looks interesting to you, you can take that time and hopefully, create a masterpiece as a result. So here is my masterpiece as it's created. Here, let me just frame it to the window. So let's do, fit. Here, let's fit width. So you can see the kind of the thing I'm working on over here. You can fit it in various different shapes. This is a really stupid image I put together. You can see over here it is in 3D because it is available as a scene material. So if you're creating a scene material, you can open up this viewport over here, available in Show Scenes Viewport. You can control the viewport with this little plus icon, so we can do things like set an environment map. We can change the model that is being used there, including the ability to import your own OBJ file if you so wished. And then down here, you can say how the surfaces are rendered, how to show it. You can bring in an environment map, change the exposure levels on it. You can change your lighting. So if you want, for example, I could come over here, make this lighting greenish or whatever, bright red, and so on. You get the idea. You can also control the strength of it, the lighting. You can control the position of the camera, and so on. And again, you've got ability to orbit around and see how your texture that you're generating works like. And you see your texture output has a number of different channels: the normal channel, albedo channel, roughness, reflections, and so on. You can ultimately save your results, export out these images, and use them in your game engine of choice. So that is the one way this guy can be used. And you're going to see here, going across, how I created this guy is I created a noise texture, which gives us, let me just double click, we'll see, just static noise like that, and a curve texture. Combine those two together and then brought that in as the gradient map. The gradient map is just applying color to our otherwise created, our Veroni noise texture. You can see right here. So you can zoom in now, by the way, over here. So what I've done is I've basically created this noise texture, and then I colorized it using a randomization and a curve, and then we blend them together. We get this funky guy right here. Now you're going to notice we have our GFO text that is created right here and right here. Now the reason why I created two is that I've got the background one. This is our shadow layer. Oops, did not mean to move you. All right, so that's our shadow layer down there, and then this is our foreground layer. And then what I've done is I've resized it so it's a little bit bigger, and then I inverted it so that it's white. So we got our black texture and our white texture, and then we blend them together, and so we got a little bit of a shadow going on. After I think I did a little bit of a move somewhere in there. Oh no, the resize, that did it. So that's why we have a slightly offset image going on, and then we mix them in, so we got all going on together. Transform it, I don't remember why, and then we spit out our material. So that is kind of the process we went through, and somewhere in playing around with all those things, I broke the material. I don't know why I did that. I do it all the time, but you get the idea of how this workflow works. And there is a ton of different nodes that you can work with. Like, this is just stuff I threw together on the page. You can right click and start creating stuff down here, or you can search for something. So again, if you want to do a noise texture, you can search that way. If you want to use a different algorithm, bunch of different noise styles going on. So if we went here and we made a billow noise, drop that into our scene, there is the preview of what it's done. And over here you can see the inputs that control it. So we can change out the frequency, or we can just come in here and change out the seed. Every single thing has a whole different set of parameters available over here. So for example, go back to the text. You're going to see our text. We even have we got font control over here. We got the ability to center it differently, change the size, the anchoring, the font, and so on. So every single node has its own completely different set of parameters going on, and it's kind of shocking the amount of power that's packed away in here. Now, this is for creation so far. So I created this from basically nothingness. But we could also do this a bit of a different way. So I'm going to do a new project, create an empty one, and I'll show you if you're using this as an image manipulation tool. So I could come in here and just basically bring in an image. So what this did, create a reader for us. We could also created it via node. So there's a node here somewhere. Well, I never remember the categories. Where is it? There. We could have brought this guy in this way as well. So we could have brought in as a reader and then define the image right here. So there's a way of bringing in a particular image. And you know what, that image is slightly sexier, so let's go with it for now. All right, so there we go, and I'm going to fit this guy. So there's what we were working with, and you can just use this guy as a straight up photo manipulation tool, like what you do in traditionally if you were going to load this into, let's say, Blender or GIMP. You can do it node based as well. So here we've loaded our image in. Now what I could do is just come down here and go, all right, let's do some corrections or changes to this guy. So I want to change the brightness out to it, drop a brightness node in. It automatically hooked up to the selected node. So now we can change the brightness. And you see immediately the results are there. Normally you'd have to load up an image manipulation tool to do this kind of stuff. And you see most of the stuff that you would ever want to do. So you want to change the exposure levels. Hey, you can. So let's drop the exposure levels up or down accordingly. And that functionality is there. We want to colorize it. We could do so. Gradient mapping, and then we've got curve controls as well. So we can change via curves. And you can tell it what channels you're working on and what channel to work with. So you've got a strong amount of tools and functionality there as well. And again, you can start bringing in, so I could have brought in a height map channel, or I could have created it from scratch, and we could have actually gone in. So if I wanted to do, say, a normal map here, I could actually come in, we'll start with, say, actually do a checkerboard. So do a checkerboard. So you see you got checker and checkered textures. You got textures, images, and then materials, and they all kind of have a different set of operations. But we come in here, we start with a checker texture, so I'm going to double click this guy. And let's say 5. Oh no, that should be enough. Why are you not working? All right, checker. Yeah, let me do it as a checker instead. Checker. There. So you bring in the checkerboard. And then we've got control over the number of cells that are done, the size of it overall. So if we wanted to create a 1024 by 1024, we can do so. The other thing we can do is we can change things out by reframing them. So if you're trying to resize something so that all of the things are the same size. So if I wanted this image to be the same size as this, I could drop it into a frame and then have things work together. And then if I wanted to, I could go like to normal. So drop it to normal node in there. And then we can pick how to do so. So we've got height and normal. So go with height for that one. So I'm creating a checkered normal map. We can pick how it's done. Like here, look at this. There's, let's see, about 14 different styles of filters available for your generator there. But you saw we just created a hyper fast, hyper simple normal map here. We start wanting to bring these things together. You come over here, you got scene textures, or we've got materials. Or scene materials, drop a scene material in here. So we need to create a material out of this. So we need to create a material first. So material, drop there. Let's delete that channel there. So we want to bring this guy in to our albedo channel right there. Drop that into our scene material like so. And now that we have a scene material, we can come back up here. We can say show the scene's viewport, and there's our image on it. Now, obviously, some of our exposure settings are doing bad things in this world. And I could drop this guy into the normal map channel over here, and it should show. Now, I'm breaking something, and I don't know the process because this guy's going red. It doesn't like something I did, and that's part of learning the workflow, and I haven't put the time in. I'll be honest. There's so much here that I never really kind of mastered that. Now, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt from my end why I haven't mastered this. Let's go take a look at all the nodes that are available to you, because you saw every single node we've worked with has its own custom editor over here with the features and functionalities available. So again, exposure has these settings here, and by the way, it's a continued workflow. So you see here, it'll immediately affect there. So if we jack up the exposure over here, it goes through the entire pipeline accordingly. But we've got a bunch of attribute or so you can create attributes, actually kind of like variables that you set into the world, or IDs and so on. We've got a bunch of logic nodes here, pretty much every programming construct you can think of. Framing or resizing, make things work together. We've got a bunch of input things. So if I want to make noise or waves, here's waves. Boom, just drop some waves in to our scene like so, and then again you got a completely separate editor for them over here. The even cooler thing is here I can actually create a new paint node like this, and we can actually start from scratch. I don't know what that pinned up on here. Let me just unpin that. So I create a paint node here, and I could literally draw in the scene. So we can actually use this as an image editor like that. And then if I wanted to, I could turn that to black and white and then literally drop that into the height map, for example. So you can actually start painting maps directly in this tool, or you can start bringing that in and then drop in a blend node. Like I come over here and do a blend, and like so. And if I want, then I could blend this guy and that guy together and drop that into that channel and kind of have a mix going on and so on. And then so you've got even drawing and painting tools. So if you wanted, instead of freehand drawing, you've actually done some with images. Again, as I mentioned earlier on, there's blends, there's masks, there's transformations, comparisons, flipping, resizing. So again, if I wanted to flip this guy around with him selected right here, let's go back there. Where was I? It's here. All right, drop a flip in. Let's flip Y, flip X. Boom, you immediately see the results. All right, so let's keep going. We saw some of these guys in action for doing just straight up image manipulation. You drop in a blur. So if we want to have a blur on this guy, we can do, there's your blur in. Again, bunch of different tools handling it, and boom, there is our blur in the world scene, in the scene. A bunch of texture tools here, so if you want to bring in, again, create a billow texture, boom, there you go. Let's go preview this guy. Now there's a tool you have to do to focus texture. It's this textures versus materials versus images stuff that kind of is tricking me. We got some conversion stuff going on here in functions, and then we can normalize, mix normals, angular normals, calculate normals. We got stuff here for meshes and 3D controls and so on. And then finally we got stuff here for the material stuff. And that's kind of the end of my inept tour. So if you're interested, basically we're gonna head back over here. So once again, this is PixaFlux.com. You can actually see kind of what it's capable of. It's, again, I'm really only scratching the surface of what this guy is able to do. The entire PBR-based workflow, from creating an image, procedurally and doing all kinds of magic to it, to just doing photo touch-up or image deformation stuff using like lattices for deformation and masking things out. There's just a huge amount of power in this tool. Now, if you want to learn it, you come over here to learn. There's an interesting side effect here, because once you're in learn, you can't drop down the learn menu anymore. But this is the manual, kind of gets you up and going. You can see here, there's a couple of step-by-step tutorials, probably where you want to start. And so, for example, here, you can actually see procedurally creating a clock using primitives, and then it kind of gets even more obscene. So you're mixing all of this stuff together, but they're even driving it using attributes for things like hours, time of day, and so on, and then using math to set the angle of each arm on the clock. Using logic. So you can see it's basically a programming language at this point. And now you have a clock face that is, you've got the hours, minutes, seconds that you can define over here, and it will actually set that material shape up on its own. It's amazing, the actual capabilities of this program. It's just there is a lot of work to learning it. And then speaking of which, you can also go, so I can't drop down the learn menu while I'm in learn. So I'm gonna drop over here to downloads and then come back. You'll notice there's also a video tutorial section. So you see here a number of different subjects. Here's how to create, a hexagonal swimming pool tile using this node graph here. Color value fencing, PBR texture compositions with Pixel. So if you're working with 3D textures and you want to bring them together, this tutorial will show you how. But yeah, it's a really capable program. It's just kind of hard to use as well. But there is a ton of tutorials that will show you the specifics of how to get things working. So I'm not going to go into more detail because, number one, I'm crapper at this program, and number two, as you can see from the tutorials, there is an absolute ton of tutorials showing you how step-by-step to do certain things. So as I mentioned off the hop, unfortunately it does seem to be available for Windows only. The download is available here. It's pretty small, 40 megabytes. Yeah, so that's about it. As you can see from the release history, it was updated in let's see, March, and then before that in February, and so on and so forth. It is updated quite frequently, and yeah, again, it's a bit of a one-of-a-kind program. There are other similar programs out to it, but nothing that has this scope of features and functionality. So if what you saw today does look interesting and my ineptitude in showcasing it to you doesn't turn you off, I do recommend checking out PixaFlux. And if you do check out PixaFlux and you're using virtualization like Wine or something, let me know how well it works in the comments down below. And yeah, that's it. It's a very unique program. Hopefully you found that interesting, and I'll talk to you all later. Goodbye.